This is Miss Lizzie, and I want to welcome you to the Queen Lizzie podcast. Together, we will go through the history of Rosewood, Florida, and watch as the once prosperous town rises out of the bloodshed, fire, and ash to reveal the people, the memory, and the legacy of Rosewood. Watch every Thursday on Facebook and YouTube, or listen to our story on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Hello, everybody. I am Lizzie Robinson Jenkins, representing not only the Rosewood Foundation, but the personal testimonies and history of cherished friends and family. You are now watching the Queen Lizzie podcast. Today, we are talking with Mike Powell. Hello, Mike brother, Mike Powell, Sigma brother, Mike Powell.
How you doing? It's all right, Liz. Good to see you. Good to be here.
Good to see you. It's my pleasure to invite you. And I'm going to tell you this about Mike Powell. He is a community builder, community advocate. He is doing so many wonderful things. And this month, he has done more than 3 episodes talking about Black history, which is very important. And he has done an outstanding job. And I want you to know that I am so proud of you.
Well, thank you. This year, we've actually did, it's going to be 21 episodes. So every weekday in the month of February is a new episode. On TV 20, right? So it's a lot of work that goes into it, but very, very important about our history.
Wonderful, because our history is American history. And without our history, there is no history. And I tell people all the time, history is who we are.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
Exactly. Anything else you would like to say about what you're doing in the community? Because it may not be Rosewood, but it's history. And Rosewood is history.
Well, Rosewood is super important, and I got a funny story later about Rosewood, just the knowledge of it. But I am the president of the National Panhellenic Council, which is the Divine Nine. So that's all of our organizations working together, trying to continue to do great things in our community. Yes. Involved with that, involved with a lot of the history. Things that are going on, some of the other philanthropic pieces in our community, and just, a lot more. But those are the areas that I like to focus on, and I'm the first vice president of the local NAACP, and I'm the state chair for community coordination for the NAACP.
Exactly. Absolutely. And when you talk about the NAACP, I remember joining the NAACP at age 10 before I knew the meaning of it, but my parents joined. Mm-hmm. I think it was like just a few dollars. Mm-hmm. And they instilled in us the importance of keeping our history alive, preserving it. I am a Civil Life member. I don't attend meetings, however, but my heart and my spirit is present.
Good.
And we must keep that history too alive.
And that's part of the reason that I do it. And I mention every episode that it is brought to you by NAACP and the Divine Nine. So both of the organizations definitely rooted in the history of our people, rooted in the history of America. And that's why they both came about. That's why they both were started, just because of the betterment, the advancement, and the opportunities for African Americans in this country.
Well, tell the people that don't know about the Divine Nine and HBCU how we roll.
All right. So the Divine Nine organization, of course, was founded in 1930.
I am a member.
Yes, and it's 9 organizations. You have Alpha Phi Alpha, which was 1906. You have Alpha Kappa Alpha, which was 1908. You have Kappa Alpha Psi, which is 1911. You have Omega Psi Phi, which was 1911. You have Delta Sigma Theta, which is 1913. You have Phi Beta Sigma, which is 1914. You have Zeta Phi Beta, which is 1920. And then you have Sigma Gamma Rho, which is 1922, and then Iota Phi Theta, which is 68, Morgan State University. So you have all of our organizations founded upon the same principles of brotherhood, sisterhood, service to our community, service to all mankind, scholarship, education, and family. It's all of those things wrapped up in one bundle or another, but it's really all about strengthening our community and unifying.
And you do an outstanding job as the leader.
Thank you so much.
And
I try.
Yes, you do. And he's a genius, can you all tell? He remembered those dates, okay? And the sorority / fraternity.
Yeah.
And we do work together as a team. Well, we are a team. And are very, very appreciative. But we want you all to also know, before any of these organizations, we got our strength from our ancestors. They may have been enslaved, but they were not slaves, okay?
Right.
And we are on their shoulders. I am so proud of my great-grandmother, who was kidnapped I'm not surprised she was kidnapped, but her history tells me that she was kidnapped in Parchman, Mississippi in 1839. At age 13, she never saw her family again and brought to Archer, Florida.
Wow.
678 miles she walked. Okay,
Wow.
and no food.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about people fasting. When you fast and pray, and that's what they did, fast and pray, but they were starved.
Keep them through, right.
That's right. So we know that God is out there. We know that we are surrounded by God. I mean, we know that. And I don't talk about God on my show, but I just had to let you know that's what got her here.
Yeah.
Prayers. And because of her, I am.
Right.
And we have to remember our ancestors. And our children need to remember. If they don't know, that's what we do well. We teach them.
We have to teach them. We have to pass on the stories. That is what is most important, because, as I always say, people come and go.
Exactly.
Businesses come and go. Mm-hmm. Organizations come and go. But everything is built around the history, and our ancestors is what we stand on. But what did they go through? How did they get here? How did we become who we are? Mm-hmm. And when you don't know those things, you're always wondering inside. It's like a little kid that grows up without one of their parents. They're always wondering, longing to know, what would it have been like, or how would they have felt about me, or what would I have learned? Mm-hmm. So it's always something that's missing, and that's why we have to pass it along. A lot of young people now don't know the art of the griot, the storyteller, the folks who sat down and passed along those stories when we couldn't read or write because we were forbidden to.
Exactly.
It was against the law. It was corporal punishment. It was death. It was any of those things. So when young people kind of get to hear that and you put it in the proper context for them, it's mind-blowing.
It is.
So we have to pass on that knowledge. And unfortunately, some people look at it when you talk about these things like, oh, it's hate, oh, it's divisive. No, it's not. It's just like when you say, oh, my parents came from Scotland, or my parents are from, Ireland, or we have some, Russian in our background, or whatever it might be. Anything that's European, it's almost like, oh, that's great. We're Italian and we want to talk about it and it's no issue. But when you talk about trying to find the African diaspora's history, now it becomes divisive. Well, there were certain things that were very negative, in the history, but we still need to know, just like you need to know.
We need to know, and this is my job, not my job. I enjoy sharing with you all. I enjoy Micah. We don't have a planned agenda. We're just talking off the top of our head. And I think we're doing pretty good, don't you?
I think so.
Yes, and we want you, if you're interested, you have something to talk about that's going to help us make people aware of what we have come through, where we have gone, how we haven't overcome Rosewood. We haven't overcome what we have learned from that history.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
My aunt was the school teacher there, and I let everybody know she was from Archer, not Rosewood. She married a Rosewood guy. She is an Archer young lady, and after the massacre, when the Rosewood was invaded, she was really, she was assaulted, okay, physically, mentally. She suffered the agony of defeat for the next 25 years. She moved more than 5 times. She changed her name more than 5 times. And I believe she committed suicide because I have a document, because when she left Archer in 1923, they moved to Jacksonville, she and her husband. And I have a document. I know you were saying, because you were from Jacksonville. Well, you know about Davis Street.
Yes, that's where I grew up.
Well, that's the first street they lived on. Davis, from Davis to
Jefferson
Monroe.
and Davis, where I grew up. Monroe was on the other side.
Okay.
Largest housing projects in the Southeast.
Yes,
That's
and
where I
she
grew
ended up on Coleman, and she walked from Davis Street to where she worked down a railroad track. Is there a railroad track?
Yeah, well,
near
it's not
Davis
called
Street?
that anymore, but yeah,
Right.
it's called Railroad Track Road, yeah.
Yeah, she walked to her job, and she worked for a doctor. They never knew about her Rosewood incident. She didn't tell them. They didn't know she was a teacher.
Wow.
But after she had gone through so much tragic, she wrote to him and asked him for strychnine. They sent it. I don't know why. Well, they sent it. That's another story. But his wife, said to her in that letter, if you have, I can't remember the disease, I'll just say high blood pressure. If you take it, drink lots of water. And I believe, Mike, because of her stress and agony, I believe she committed trauma. I believe she committed suicide. So I must keep her story alive. And you need to know, I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm just putting out there what we go through. Okay,
Right.
so I must keep this history alive. And coming up on March 9th, I'm inviting each of you to our event. It's called Mahalda Gussie Brown Carrier, Influential Women of Distinction, because she did not live to be an influence, to people. That's what she wanted to. So I have invited some women who are very instrumental in Alachua County.
Right, inspirational folk.
Inspirational, there you are. And I'm not going to call their name. Follow Eileen Silverman's show. You can find their names and pictures on that. But we want to give her credit. If you want to know more about this, go to my website, which is rosewoodflorida.com. You can also make a donation or buy a book. And I want you to know I have a couple of books on there. One book I sent to President Biden. I sent to the governor, Ron DeSantis. And I sent one to Ben Sass. Because, see, you already know my history. You have read it. Because these people need to know that our history is not going anyplace. It's here to stay. It's here we are. Okay? And you're not going to change what we have lived.
Right. Well, there are some thought and theories about how history is changed. History is changed by not talking about it, ignoring it, banning books, giving a different narrative, which is called the spin. But it's also by legislating other things and distraction. So unfortunately, that's what happens. And I'll go back to the point of some people do tend to try to characterize it as Black history is divisive and negative and all of those things. That history is not to make anyone feel that they are guilty of something, that they are perpetrators of a crime. It is to acknowledge the truth.
Exactly.
It is to uncover what was dark to light. That's all it is.
That's all it is. And there are people out there that don't want us to uncover because they're worried about their children. When they talk about, I can't remember the word you just said, it's divisive. No, lynching is divisive. Okay, there are many ways they lynched our people. They burned them. They skinned them. They pulled out their teeth.
Tarred and feathered, cut off appendages, everything.
Yes. Now that's what they really don't want people to know. They don't want their children to know.
Right.
Okay, but too bad. We can't erase history. It's hard history, but I don't allow the hard history. We don't, okay, to stop us from telling Rosewood. I tell Rosewood very positively, as bad as it was, because I want people to know that it really happened, but we are going to use all of that hate as stepping stones and go to the next level collectively. Collaboratively.
That's right.
Yes, because history is who we are. That's about time for our first half. We are going to head to a quick break, and we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured,
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
and our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
I am Black History.
I am Rosewood Black History. I am Florida and America's Black History, and you are too.
January 1st, 1923, the KKK insurrectionists attacked Rosewood, killing 5, burning it down.
Because a white woman lied and cried, a black man assaulted me. Rosewood redevelopment is on its way.
Want to help? Visit rosewoodflorida.com.
Welcome back to Queen Lizzie Podcast, brought to you weekly from the Steve Spurrier Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We are here with Mike Powell. The Queen Lizzie Podcast is brought to you by Campus Credit Union USA, live from the Meldon Law Gator Studios at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Special thanks to Greg Bradley, Allstate Insurance. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Mike
Thank you.
Powell.
All great sponsors there.
Yes, they are great sponsors, and thank you for that extra shout out. And Mike, when my mom told me the history of Rosewood, she said, "Don't accuse anybody. Research, authenticate, document, and tell the truth." And that's what I'm doing. And my mother also said, "What I need to do for you is write you a song. You need to sing a song to tell the story." My mom wrote a 13-verse song, and it goes like this. Rosewood, Florida, borders Highway 24. A destroyed town, no blacks live there anymore. Where emptiness resides in the silent sacred breeze. Life there no more, only nature's moss-hung trees. And another verse said this: the Cedar Key train conductors were told to pick up in Rosewood. Standing by the tracks with the lantern, its young school teacher stood, waiting in desperation to carry out the sheriff's plans, rounding up the hidden survivors to board the midnight train. The sheriff and the store owner worked around the clock. Oh Lord, inform the train conductors just when and where to stop. Pick up the men, women, and children who were hiding out, and bring them to Archer, Florida, traveling the same old route. Bob Walker and John Wright took on a daring risk. Put the survivors on the train, Lord, and sent them off with a kiss. Notified the Gainesville families to be on the lookout for their kin. Told them the train was a-coming, and told them exactly when. And after my mom wrote this song for me, that was just
Yeah, I heard you sing some one time before, but now I'm really listening.
Okay.
Yeah.
And because she wrote this song, that's why I have to tell the story positively. Had it not been for those people that I called, the store merchant, I called their name, and the sheriff, and then the Bryce brothers behind the scene train conductors, okay? If it had not been for them, Rosewood, the people of Rosewood would have perished.
Yes.
So I can't attack anyone. I have to invite people to help us do this together.
Right. I've said from time to time again, it's like with everything else, even when we think about the NAACP wasn't founded just by black people. There were white founders of the NAACP. The civil rights movement. We've always had allies.
Yes.
Without them, there's absolutely nothing you can do. The clergymen, the Jewish faith in some areas, a lot of, as I mentioned the other day on the segment, white folks of good conscience, as Dr. King used to say. The Black Thursday at the University of Florida, as I mentioned, white students, after the black students got arrested in President O'Connell's office and taken to jail, white students called a all-campus meeting at the Plaza of the Americas, and they raised bail money. Okay, they raised bail money. White college students to get the black college students, mostly black, out of jail.
Exactly.
And so then the 1,500 or so that ascended on the president's office and later that night on his lawn at the president's mansion, those were white students, allies predominantly, who fought for the cause.
Exactly.
And so, again, it's not about accusing, it's about revealing the truth, it's about enlightening, it's about all of us understanding we're here where we are now. So obviously, it's like baking a cake. You got to put everything in together, and eventually you're going to come out with a cake, and that's where you are. Okay, so we're here now. But let's go ahead and talk about all those different ingredients that went in it and all the different things that happened in order for us to get here. There's nothing to be ashamed about. There's going to be a lot of pain and trauma because that's what it's been.
Yes.
But that's what life is, and we keep moving on, but let's be positive. And that's what we talk about when we're saying history. You can't erase history.
Right.
And you shouldn't try to erase history. It's not even possible to think that you can erase history, because history is time. You can't erase time.
Right.
It's going to be there.
Right. And a lot of work was put into history. Like you were saying, all of us working together, a little bit of Italian and a sprinkle of Jewish, and tableful, may not have been a tableful or a tablespoonful, but we put it all in one bowl and we mix it in. That's what we come out to be, working together for the betterment of this country. Hate, you have to plan to hate. My mom would always tell me, but to love and respect, you don't have to plan.
Natural.
Think about it.
Think about kids. It's natural.
Exactly.
It's natural. Kids just
Exactly.
love, and they want to be fun and everything else. It's the other part that they learn. The negative part they learn. The mean spirit they learn.
Right, and that's something they have to plan for the rest of their lives. If you were taught to hate, you're going to have to plan every night. Now, what I'm going to do, to make sure Liz is not on that podcast. And I always like to do a shout out to Steve Spurrier also. Right. For his vision.
Old ball coach, yes.
Good football coach.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Draw up some plays for us, Coach. We need some offensive plays. Okay, but that's another story.
That's another story. And Freddie Weeby. Okay.
Oh, my good friend Freddie.
You know Freddie?
Oh, yeah, I love Freddie.
I do too.
Freddie's always had a big heart. Used to look out for us all the time. Freddie was the first to step in to donate when we needed things for the little kids, when I was doing all those community things for kids and education-wise and tours and our mentoring of young kids at risk. If I call Freddie, not even a question.
Because he owned
Domino's and other things. Yep, Freddie was, didn't want any recognition, but great guy. Love to see him all the time. Yeah.
And Freddie, believe it or not, named my podcast show Queen Lizzie Podcast. He walked up to me one day and said, "Hi, Queen." Embarrassed me too. And I looked at him and he said, "Well, that's what you are." And I looked at him again. "Do you have a name for your podcast?" I said, "No." He said, "Queen Lizzie Podcast. That's what we'll call it." So thank you, Freddie.
Good job.
And also, another guy is very supportive is Meldon Law.
Okay.
Meldon Law is very supportive, and he has been doing outstanding work. And I know you're very proud of the sports.
Yep.
What do you call those?
Yep. The student athlete of the week.
Exactly.
That they do. Yeah, I wanted to work with Jeffrey Meldon and his group with making sure that all of those kids had everything they need and get to the next level, because many of those scholar athletes I helped put into college and help get scholarships and that type of stuff as well. I was going to get with them to formalize something, and then pandemic happened.
Yes.
So I kind of just let it go as far as then. But I love seeing them, and I love what they do as far as recognizing great kids, and that's something that I'm always happy about.
Exactly, and I'm more than sure I have 3 of the best in Gainesville that supports Rosewood, their vision, and they know I'm very passionate about Rosewood. They know that, and whatever they can do to help, they are there for me, and I'm here for us. It's not about me. Right. I tell people Rosewood is not about me. It's about the community. It's about history. It's about bringing us together. This is what I'd like to see, Mike. I would like to see Rosewood be the catalyst for changing the narrative, the negativeness of, not of history. Well, some people are negative, just changing and bringing us together. And as I meet people, they tell me how much they appreciate what I am doing. We had our opening, an elegy to Rosewood, Friday night at the Florida, I can't remember, Fine Arts Association. It was well attended. People were there that wanted to know about Rosewood. We took pictures. It's on my website. It's on Facebook, y'all, if you want to review it. And by the way, the exhibit, the Rosewood exhibit, an elegy to Rosewood, will remain at that museum until March 23rd. The address is...
This year, right?
This year.
Okay.
Yes, it's there now. It will be there. The address is 1314 South Main Street. If you want me to meet you there and talk about Rosewood, I will. ACE is in motion. Don't know if you know about that school. But I am meeting with them 2 days this week after school to share with them the history of Rosewood.
Let me ask you this, because all of that is fantastic. And I know you've talked to a lot of different people. I know you've spoken at, with university groups and everything else. Is there nothing that's in place that the school system has where you get to speak at, say, each of the high schools or the middle schools? There's nothing like that in place? I mean, I know right now it probably would be difficult because so much turmoil about Black history and erasing Black history in schools, which, as I said, it really can't be done. But that would be great for students to know. And I've heard the rhetoric that, we're worried about our kids growing up feeling hurt or feeling sad or feeling bad about their heritage. That's not what it's about. No. It's to let people know not to repeat history.
Yes.
That's why you want to educate folks. And it's not just history with African Americans. It's history with everything else, every subset that comes along. So I would have loved to see something like that happen. Now, most people know I'm not from Gainesville, but I've lived in Gainesville longer than I lived where I'm from, and I love Gainesville. I fight for Gainesville. I fight for Gainesville's children. I fight for what's right for our city as a whole. But a key thing is, when I talk about history, I talk about the local history here.
Yes.
I bring up things and talk about those items that are lesser known that everyone can be proud of. You know, when you talk about Clara McLaughlin, the first, media mogul, the first black woman to own a television station network affiliated in the United States. It wasn't Oprah Winfrey. It was a little black girl from Gainesville, Florida, who happens to be a Zeta Phi Beta.
And my classmate.
Right. See, so again, there's a lot of things like that that we bring up. You know, when I talked about the chestnut history, you know, they came here as chattel slavery, enslaved folks from Camden, South Carolina.
Exactly.
You know, with the Hale plantation Hale family, and just growing is something that, you know, we need people to understand. You grow when you learn.
Exactly.
So I want people to know history, black and white, and I want all us to celebrate it.
Right, and Alachua history is very, very powerful. And I'm not going to talk about the museum we're going to build in my aunt's name on our property out in Archer, because I want to run by you. Please go to Eventbrite. If you don't have your ticket for the 9th, purchase a ticket and be there. Okay, so much is going to happen that night, because this is a one-time. I'm not going to plan and do this all over again. It's a one-time big event that you will never forget. We have a diorama that was made by one of our board members, and it is the little town of Rosewood, and it's going to be on stage on this particular night, and we're going to turn the lights off. When you turn the lights off in the dining room at the Hilton, we are going to turn the lights on in that diorama, and the entire town of Rosewood is going to light up. Okay, so please come. I know, just be there. Okay, the last day to purchase a ticket is March 2nd, unless we need to move it back. Okay.
So everybody make sure that you look up the Black History Month Minute on WCJB.com. With Mike Powell, and you can find that, everywhere. So please look those up and look at all of those episodes. Share them with family, friends, but especially kids of all colors.
And a thank you to them, the people that are taping this for you. WCJB, is it WUFT?
No, it's TB20. There's a partnership there, and this is valuable to them. So as I mentioned, other people, it's not just someone's doing something for you. Okay. This is for the community, and just as much as, yes,
and absolutely. The community needs to know this. Absolutely. Thank you all, our TV20 and your partners, okay? All right. I am continuously humbled, honored, and blessed to meet people daily and invite them to join in peace building, healing, and reconciliation through learning about the history of Rosewood. That will wrap up today's episode. I am Queen Lizzie. Until next time, this is my Rosewood story, and I'm sticking to it. Goodbye.